Today I will add to the first half of Mrs. Drumright's life and introduce the story behind her drum collection. In the previous episode, a reporter mentioned that after she left Boeing Company, then switched to a new job traveling the world. According to Dorothy Rowe's report, she met Florence Teets, who was on her first business trip abroad, in London, UK. Owing to this trip, Florence discovered her true passion, traveling all over the world. After returning to New York, she immediately quit her job at Boeing and accepted a new position at the Christian Science Monitor, focusing on world travel reporting. Later, during her third round-the-world trip, she met Mr. Drumright. After their marriage in June 1955, they traveled to Africa. Until March 8, 1958, Mr. Drumright became the U.S. ambassador to the Republic of China, and Florence became the ambassador's wife. This photo, provided by Academia Historica, shows from left to right, President Chiang Kai-shek, Madame Chang Sung Mei-Ling, Mrs. Florence Drumright, Ambassador George Ye, and Ambassador Everett F. Drumright. This clipping is titled Oriental Art for Christmas. From left to right are Mrs. Drumright, her mother Mrs. George Teets, and Ambassador Drumright. This horse painting, I introduced it in detail in episode 9 of Art Detective. In the summer of 1960, Liang Hanchao, on President Chang's orders, asked General Yi Zuobai to paint a horse as a gift for Ambassador Drumright to congratulate him on his new appointment. This photo in 2022 when Mrs. Drumright's nephew, Paul Acker, and his family visited the Ink Diplomacy exhibition featuring the Drumrights collection. When Paul's parents went to Taiwan, President and Madame Chang invited them to a tea party. From left, Mr. Acker, Ambassador Drumright, Madame Chang, President Chang, Mrs. Drumright, and Mrs. Acker. On the envelope of invitation at that time, Mr. and Mrs. Acker were addressed. I feel puzzled why their surnames are different. Thanks to another nephew of Mrs. Florence Drumright, Bergen Junge, who provided the birth years of all of Florence's siblings. Until then I was able to clarify that the two boys were both older brothers of Florence. Florence, who born in 1915, was the third child and the eldest daughter in the Teets family. In addition, the youngest twin sisters were 13 years younger than Florence, who raised them from childhood. Bergen also mentioned, Aunt Florence often said that she did not need children because she had raised the twins and that had given her plenty of parenting. Therefore, Florence treated all her nieces and nephews as her own and loved them equally. Paul Acker told me that his father, George Acker, was Florence's second brother, while the eldest was Robert Teets. Because Paul's father did not like the surname Teets, he changed it to his mother's maiden name, Acker. I am grateful to Florence's nieces and nephews for providing all valuable information which has brought the buried history back to light after more than 60 years. Previously, we only knew the Drumrights through paintings they donated. Now, from the drums they collected, we can learn more about Mrs. Florence Drumright. Ambassador Drumright retired on March 8, 1962. In April 1962, the diplomat sent reporter Florence S. Richards, who authored a detailed report on Mrs. Drumright's life in Taiwan. The title was Flower Drum Song on Formosa. The subtitle read, America's #1 hostess in Taipei is collector and charmer with wit and rare talent for making friends. The article mentioned that when Flower Drum Song, authored by Jin Young Ni, premiered on Broadway in 1958, she could not get a ticket and missed it. But when she came to Taiwan in 1962, she was surprised to see Mrs. Drumright herself performing Flower Drum Song at the U.S. Embassy in Taipei. After their marriage, the Drumrights traveled in Africa and brought back precious souvenirs from the jungle, 15 drums made from different animal skins, such as lion, zebra, buffalo, giraffe, and others. Mrs. Drumright said that the haunting, persistent, mystifying beating of drums awakened us in the morning and throbbed far into the night. This photo shows the drums displayed by Mrs. Drumright in a corner of the dining room at the embassy residence in Taipei. They collected a total of 130 drums. Mrs. Drumright could not only play simple tunes but also perform more complex rhythms. Among their collected drums, a small exquisite cherrywood drum that was a toy from the childhood of Presidential Office Secretary General Chang. This photo, obtained from the Academia Historica, shows Secretary General Chang standing in the middle. In the previous episode, I mentioned that Mrs. Drumright painted an old pine tree as a 90th birthday gift for Mr. Chang. They called him Old Brother and had a close relationship. There was also a drum had belonged to a Fujian family and was used as a devil chaser. Among all the drums in the collection, the most valuable item was a large bronze drum from the Han Dynasty, authenticated by the Museum of History to be over 2,000 to 3,000 years. Another drum was a gag gift given by reporters to the late U.S. Secretary of State John Foster Dulles. This drum looked quite simply and was machine-made and placed atop other Eastern and African drums. This drum was an American toy with a small crank that can play a string of drum beats. The reporters joked with the Secretary of State if he could take a photo in front of Mrs. Drumright's drum collection. He gladly agreed and admitted that he was not a drummer himself. Mrs. Drumright pointed at this drum, recalling those happy memories while also feeling sad about losing such a dear friend. John F. Dulles visited Taiwan 6 times in the 1950s, with the last 2 visits in March and October 1958, and he passed away in May 1959. Mrs. Drumright was not only skilled at drumming but also excelled in the art of flower arrangement, often combining flowers with drums. Once, during a flower arrangement exhibition, a Lebanese legislator sent 2 brightly colored drums, one orange and one blue, made of pottery to add to the festivities. She held annual flower and drum performances to raise funds for donating them to a teacher training scholarship fund. She was full of enthusiasm and creative ideas for charitable activities. The reporter noted that Mrs. Drumright's collection of the drums at the embassy residence reflected her appreciation, passion, and deep understanding of Eastern art, and showed that she was a distinctive artist. This photo, reported by Annie Smith on August 8, 1965, shows the Drumrights donating 85 drums in total to the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. LACMA held a special exhibition of these drums then. The image shows Mrs. Drumright tapping a Korean drum that could play on both sides. When the reporter asked Mrs. Drumright why she collected so many drums, she half-jokingly said that Ambassador Drumright's surname in English begins with drum, and she affectionately called him Drum. She believed that since the ambassador was such a good man, she wanted to collect him, the more the better. On the other hand, she said the ambassador did not like others to beat him, so she played the drums instead as a way of beating him. Based on the above, I have added collector to her biographical profile. These are the reference materials. In the next episode, I will continue to introduce Mrs. Florence Drumright. Stay tuned.